and welcome to day 30 of how I spent my Corona confinement, making it with Metaphysics. And today we are going to talk about power. You may feel a little powerless sometimes, but for the next, I think it's going to last like 2 weeks, every day I'm going to tell you about a different faculty, a spiritual faculty that you have that is going to empower you to make every day meaningful. So welcome, and let's talk about some power. Yesterday, we talked about paradigm shifts, and I kept wondering to myself, did you get what I meant when I said a paradigm shift? A paradigm shift is changing completely from thinking one thing about a thing to another. I had probably one of the earliest paradigm shifts I've had when I was about 12 years old. I was walking home from school that day, and I was a good little Catholic girl. And as a good little Catholic girl, I prayed all the time. Back in those days, I walked to and from school. Oh, you know, both ways uphill. I measured it one day, and it wasn't much more than a mile. And I couldn't believe that I was walking only a mile. I'm going to measure it another day because it sure seemed like a lot longer than a mile. Anyway, as was the practice of my life as a good little Catholic girl, I would pray every day. I would just recite one, because we were told to pray without ceasing, right? So I would pray every day, and one of the prayers that I typically prayed is what we call the Lord's Prayer, or in the Catholic tradition, we call it the Our Father. So I'm walking along, and all of a sudden, I go, wait a minute. Jesus said, our Father. He didn't say my Father. He said our Father. He didn't say my Father's followers. He said our Father, which leads me to believe that Jesus was not one to give a hoot about where you prayed, but that you pray. So that was also an introduction to me, my 12-year-old little self, about our oneness with God and with each other. So that was a moment of empowerment, because up until that time, we were raised to put Jesus so far away from us and like alone in God's favor. And then I thought, wait a minute, he told us we're all one. He told us the kingdom is within us. He told us we could follow him, and he told us the things he did, and even greater things shall we do. That's power. So I went from being in a relatively distant and powerless feeling in my faith to being what I consider very powerful. I had a paradigm shift. Maybe you had a specific paradigm shift that you would like to share, to think about. Make it up, put it in the comments if you want, because I love to hear about what's going on. Speaking of powers and being charged up and everything, I just want to thank you again for being here, whether it's now when I'm videotaping with my lovely friends who've come to join me here, or whether it is tomorrow or midnight or whatever. That I want to thank you for being there, because you are a part of the way my spiritual battery gets charged. So thank you for helping to charge me up. I only hope that I am in that circuit. You know, it's a circuit of energy, circulation, that I charge you, you charge me, I charge you, and everybody stays charged up. Now, we don't live like that. We unplug and we go back to the regular lives we have. But let's stay kind of with circulation for a moment, because I have taught before that circulation is the only true prosperity. You remember yesterday we were talking about taxes and tithing to your church and everything. and how you want to be in a state of circulation. You not only give, you receive. And if we think only of giving, we are not open to receiving because we have a sense of depletion. And that's not a good thing. We want to have a sense of giving and receiving. And we give not to receive, we give because we already received. And in these times, a lot of people are very, very afraid. They're very afraid about that money. Do you have the power to lessen their fear? Some people do. Some people listened when they were told you need to have 6 months of living expenses set aside for an emergency. We like to call it that we put money aside as an opportunity fund. How amazing to have an opportunity fund and to be able to bless someone else. I got my deposit, my direct deposit the other day of the $1,200, and I immediately made 2 donations because 2 things really came to my mind that I wanted to bless people. And the first one was the World Health Organization. They're doing good work, period. Giving to someone else helps them give to others. I also gave to the Restaurant Workers Relief Fund. And because I know what it's like to count on a waitress's salary, or whatever you call what they give you, pay. Like I remember at one time I was making $2.13 an hour to wait tables, and the rest was supposed to be coming to me, in tips. Not easy. But I wanted to honor them because I'm not going out to dinner right now. I don't want to take away from them. So I got my check. First thing you want to do is circulate. Don't forget to give to your spiritual source, wherever you get spiritual food. I sent some to Silent Unity, the Unity movement. They support me, pray with me. You can always give to Spirit of Unity Church. Go online and click the donation button. That's always good because I've got good places to put that. If you start to feel that you are depleted when you are paying your bills, when you are putting out money, you are setting yourself up, because the thought you're putting in your mind when you hand out that money is what you are going to manifest. Why? That's how power works. It is the power of the mind, and that is a spiritual gift that we all have. Now, before I got ready to do our visit today, I had to make sure my phone was charged. Because if my phone was not charged, no matter how powerful it is, it couldn't help. It couldn't do a thing if the battery shut down. How's your battery? Are you running on full? Or is that little flashing light going on that your battery is being drained? You have the power to charge your battery. You just have to know how to do it. I can't imagine if I didn't plug in every day to clear my mind, to have gratitude, do my prayer time, recharge, read something that charged me up, and visit with you, because that's all a part of my charging. Every moment of the day, our battery is either being charged or discharged. And what is our battery but our power source? Now that is our personal power source. We make our decisions what we're doing with that. You can also want to be sure to when you take your phone and you put it into your charger, then you plug it into the wall. And that's where you get the big power. You don't want to stick your finger in that. I did it once. It was not a good experience. I'm not even going there. I thought I was doing something good in the dark. Anyway, yeah, you want to connect to the source. So the battery is a source, but it runs down. Then we have the wall socket, which is like God, which is like spirit. We plug in and we get charged with power. Joyce Meyer says a lot, do you want to be pitiful or do you want to be powerful? I don't know about you. I want to be powerful, number one. Number two, I want to use my power well. I don't want to waste my power. I want to make sure I am sending out positive power, positive energy that will charge others up as well. In these times when we don't know, a lot of people don't know where their next check is coming from. They don't know if their job will be there. And there's a lot of negativity and a lot of being told how bad it is. That, my friends, is a horrible power drain. That is not going to help at all. You want to stay powered up. You cannot listen to all the negative because in order to get to the positive, you've got to lift yourself up and out of it. From time to time during the day, take your emotional, spiritual, mental temperature and say, where am I? Especially if you notice you're feeling bad. What am I doing? Am I getting a power drain? You know, even our dear friends can be a power drain. I had a friend for many years who would call me up and I'd say, oh, hi, how you doing? And the first thing she'd say is, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened. And I would feel that the power come right out of me. By the end of the phone call, my battery was dead. I was being crabby to the kids. I didn't want to cook supper, you know. And remember, those were the days when the phone was on the wall and you could only get so far away from it, so you couldn't go around and clean the house and do stuff. Because of the feelings that many people have about where is their money going to come from, how long is this going to last, I will say, which I've said over and over, and I'm going to say again, we do not have a matter of supply. The problem is not in the supply, it is in the distribution. Sometimes if you just make some big pot of stew or something and share a bowl or two, bring it to a neighbor, you know, knock on their door, surprise, and go home. No contact, but making someone that gift. You know, you can have a steak, okay? Not that I would, but being a vegetarian. But if you had a steak, you could chow down on that steak and have one heck of a dinner. Or you could take it and you could cut it up into chunks and make a stew, which would go much farther. Or you could grind it up and add some breadcrumbs and stuff and spices and make a meatloaf, which would make it even go farther. Back when we lived in I don't even know that I had children yet, or when my kids were real small, we were living in the country, so on Sundays we would have people come out to visit us on Sunday afternoon. Well, they'd be having such a good time they wouldn't go home. And it'd get later and later. And I'd have a pound of hamburger. And I'm going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this pound of hamburger I have and 10 people to feed? And I actually made hamburgers for 10 people with 1 pound of hamburger. And a package of Lipton onion soup mix, and some bread or breadcrumbs that I'd squish into it and make these lovely patties. They were juicy. They were wonderful. We can do things. I used to have a saying, I've done so much with so little for so long. Now I can do just about anything with practically nothing. These are the good things that can come out of difficult times. We do have an abundance, and in order to have it, we have the power to share it with others. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the power of faith. Tomorrow we're going to talk about imagination, because I've been itching to do that for a long time. Having spiritual power is not common sense, okay? It is uncommon sense. Do you have uncommon sense? Can you look at a bigger picture than what our lower consciousness of lack and limitation is telling us? Yes, you can. I love to watch Chopped, okay? Because the people get these really weird ingredients and they've got to make something out of it. You can do that. Where do you think, the recipes that are all the recipe books, where do you think they came from? They came from, this is what's in season. This is what the hunter brought home, or the fisherman. This is what I've got. What can I do with it to create something meaningful? Do you just love stew and dumplings? Woo! I love stew and dumplings. And it's a very cheap meal. In fact, I'm making stew tonight. Not sure about the dumplings. I got a little excess, a little abundance I'm thinking about here. But I'm making it with tempeh. Who could make meat out of soybeans? But a good protein source it is. We have the power to look at the positive side at what we have and not what we don't have. Now, if you're a parent and if you've got, kids around the house saying how bad it is and how miserable it is, and maybe you need to hear this yourself. It says, I did not make this up, but it was true and I have to share it. If you have food in your fridge, clothes on your back, a roof over your head, and a place to sleep, you are richer than 75% of the world. Yes, 75%. If you have money in your bank, didn't say how much, $5. You have any money in your wallet and some spare change, you are among 8% of the world's wealthy. If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than the 1 million people who will not survive this week. And unfortunately, in our current situation, that's probably even higher, except don't forget, you have the power to take care of yourself. If you have never experienced the danger and I would say torment of battle, the agony of imprisonment or torture, or the horrible pangs of starvation, I'm not saying boredom hunger here. We all have that. I'm saying starvation. You are luckier than 500 million people alive and suffering. If you can read this message, you are more fortunate than 3 billion people in the world who cannot read at all. How's that for a paradigm shift from I don't know what I'm going to do to, oh my gosh, I truly am blessed. I found a scripture I wanted to share because, the coronavirus is called the crown virus. So I wanted to look in the Bible and look up the word crown. There are 111 times the word is used. I didn't read them all. And I guarantee you that in the Bhagavad Gita, in the, what am I thinking of, the Torah, the Quran, that there is also words about crowns, because this says, blessed is the person, who endures trial, because when he or she has stood the trial, he or she will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. So, isn't that a wonderful thought? We can receive a crown depending on how we choose to defeat the crown virus. We would take its crown, but we take it because we have the power. And the first power we have is mind power. You are not powerless. Plug in and recharge. Now, you know, when I say plug in and recharge, I'm not saying when you sit and watch TV. Because watching TV can be a huge power drain depending on what you are watching. Or it can be pleasant and inspiring. Who has the power to choose? You do. I am so glad that you joined me today. If you came in late, that's okay. After this ends, just wait a few minutes and you can watch it from the beginning. I pray something I said today will charge you up, because your simple being here has charged me up. God bless you. Have a great day. Hi to you all. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I behold the divinity of you in you, with you. Talk to you later.